The sky over Trident's dawn burned for 3 days. It began as a shimmer at the edge of the colony's sensor grid. A flicker, then dozens, then hundreds. Metallic wings unfolded from void space, scales of light rippling along their hulls. The Zathari Empire had arrived. Governor Lynn Adebayo stood in the command dome as alarms bled red across every surface. Civilian transports scrambled for orbit. The orbital guard, a mere handful of patrol ships, rose to meet the intruders. They didn't last 10 minutes. The Zathari weren't there for conquest. They were there for example. From orbit, their battleships turned their cannons toward the surface and began to carve the city apart. Plasma cascades turned forests into oceans of glass. Fusion bombardments sank the northern continent. As the fire spread, a message went out on every frequency. To the species that calls itself humanity, your expansion ends here. The stars are not yours to claim. You are small. You are soft. You are prey. They transmitted it in a dozen languages, as if to make sure everyone could understand the insult. In the final hours, the surviving colonists tried to surrender. The Zathari fleet commander, Vael Korath, laughed. Peace? There is no peace for cattle. He ordered the orbital mirrors to focus their beams on the evacuation ports, melting them shut with thousands still inside. By dawn, the colony was gone. Over 9 million humans, civilians, children, families, erased. The soil glowed red where the oceans once met the land. The last transmission from Trident's dawn was a single word, whispered through static: remember. The Empire's laughter. The Zathari believed themselves unassailable. They had conquered 14 species, shattered empires older than human civilization itself. Their fleets were vast, their weapons ancient, their arrogance infinite. To them, humanity was a curiosity. A species that built too fast, dreamed too far, and spoke of diplomacy as if it could shield them from fire. In the Hall of Conquest, beneath banners woven from the flags of extinct nations, Vael Korath stood before the Emperor and bowed low. Trident's dawn is no more, he said. Their cries were brief, their defiance laughable. The Emperor's many eyes blinked in satisfaction. And Earth? Do they tremble? Korath's grin exposed razor teeth. They sent no fleet, no army, only silence. They have learned fear. The hall filled with laughter, cold and sharp as blades. But the silence they mocked was not born of fear. It was the pause before the storm. The quiet that burns, the destruction of Trident's dawn reached Earth 32 hours later. Every major network carried the images. The smoldering ruins, the orbiting wrecks, the message of humiliation broadcast by the Zathari. For a day, the world mourned. For 2, it raged. By the 3rd, the mourning ended. The silence began. From the depths of Luna's shipyards, lights ignited. From the black vaults beneath the Martian deserts, hangars the size of mountains opened their doors. In Neptune's orbit, the deep space carriers, long silent, long denied existence, awoke from cryogenic slumber. Humanity did not scream. Humanity prepared. In the halls of the Terran Union Command, Admiral Sarai Holt spoke only one order. Operation Retribution is authorized. Bring them all. Around her, officers didn't cheer. They didn't smile. They simply nodded, grim, focused, resolute. The Zathari had taken Earth's peace. In doing so, they had lit the fire humanity had kept buried for generations. The same fire that had carried them through extinction-level wars, through collapse, through the long climb back to the stars. That fire had a new name now. Vengeance. Full. The gathering storm, the galaxy had always whispered of Earth's restraint. Humanity possessed technology few understood. Relics of the old wars. The forgotten fleets. The deep AI cores sealed beneath the polar caps. The humans had sworn never to unleash them again. But when Trident's dawn fell, those vaults opened. The fleets that emerged were not of this era. They were ghosts. Dreadnoughts from the silent century. Battleships older than most civilizations. They came not with banners, but with black hulls and names etched in iron. Resolve. Vengeance. Dawn's memory. Retributor. Across the system, communications darkened. Civilian traffic halted. Then, in unison, every Terran military channel pulsed with a single phrase. We remember Trident's dawn. The Zathari monitoring stations picked it up and laughed again. They called it morning ritual chatter. They didn't understand. It wasn't morning. It was the war call.v, the silence breaks. It began at the edge of Zathari space, in the quiet binary system of Eltar Prime. Zathari patrol ships detected gravitational distortions. Unfamiliar readings. They assumed it was a malfunction. Then the distortions grew. 11 human dreadnoughts dropped out of warp, each the size of a city. The first to arrive, the TSV Trident's Fury, transmitted a single message. By order of the Terran Union, the Zathari Empire is under sanction. Terms of surrender, unconditional. Time allowed, 0. No reply came. So humanity answered in kind. The dreadnoughts opened fire. The Zathari defense grid melted in moments. Shields overrun, fleets atomized, stations turned to plasma. When it ended, Eltar Prime's surface was molten glass. Across the void, every listening post heard the same phrase, whispered through the void. This is the beginning. 6. The fire spreads word of the counterattack reached the Zathari Emperor within a day. Rage filled the Hall of Conquest. They dare strike us? He roared. Send everything. Crush them. The Zathari Armada, 10,000 ships, moved to intercept. They found nothing. Humanity had vanished again into the dark. Then, one by one, their colonies began to die. At Virus 9, orbital arrays went silent, then reappeared, broadcasting only static. At Karen Reach, the Imperial foundries exploded from within, sabotaged by human infiltration teams using cloaked drop pods. Entire trade routes burned. Supply convoys vanished. Their wormhole gates were hacked and redirected, sending their own fleets into dead systems where no help could reach them. The Zathari had declared war on a species that had spent centuries mastering the art of survival. Humanity did not fight for territory. They fought for memory. 7. The Wrath unleashed. Then came the main assault, Operation Retribution's Heart. At the edge of the Zathari core worlds, hyperspace ruptured like torn fabric. Hundreds of Terran warships emerged. Battleships, carriers, destroyers, each bearing the black insignia of vengeance. They didn't announce themselves. They didn't demand surrender. They simply advanced. Zathari fleets formed defensive lines, thousands strong. The Emperor himself commanded from the flagship Eternal Dominion. For 6 hours, the void blazed with war. Plasma rivers, antimatter torpedoes, rail slugs the size of skyscrapers. The universe itself seemed to scream. But humanity had come prepared for annihilation. Their ships fought like creatures possessed. Their AI-guided drones tore through the enemy's flanks. Their infantry boarded the enemy capitals, fighting hand-to-hand in zero gravity. Silent and merciless. When the Eternal Dominion tried to retreat, Admiral Holt gave the order, target their gravity well generators, collapse the core. The human dreadnoughts formed a firing line, an iron horizon, and unleashed every main cannon simultaneously. The energy release cracked the system's crust, turning its sun unstable. The Eternal Dominion broke apart. The Emperor's last scream swallowed by solar fire. From orbit, the human fleet watched the system die. No one cheered. Admiral Holt simply whispered, "Peace was taken from us, so we took theirs." Eat. The Ash and the Echo weeks later, the Zathari Empire ceased to exist. Their colonies lay in ruin. Their throne world was gone. Of the billions who once served their banner, only fragments remained. Scattered fleets drifting through burned space, silent and broken. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. Species that had once feared the Zathari now spoke in hushed tones of humanity. One delegate asked, "Will Earth stop now?" No one answered, because humanity had gone silent again. Their fleets withdrew beyond the Sol frontier, vanishing into the black as swiftly as they had come. They left no occupation, no tribute demand, only a warning broadcast to every inhabited world. Let it be known, humanity desires peace, but if you take our peace, we will feed the stars with your fire. The lesson. Written in stars in the centuries that followed. No one dared provoke Earth again. The ruins of Zathari space became a graveyard, a monument of glass and ash. Pilgrims from other species came to see it, to whisper beneath the blackened skies. Among them, a saying spread, a new law, unwritten but understood. Never wake the Terran fire. And somewhere in the depths of space, in the quiet of their home system, humanity watched and remembered. They had not wanted war. They had wanted peace, a fragile, beautiful thing. But when it was stolen, they showed the galaxy what happened when humans stopped holding back. Because humanity's greatest weapon had never been its ships, or its guns, or its machines. It was their will, the spark that burned brighter when the darkness closed in. The Zathari had taken their peace, and in doing so, They had fed the fire that would consume them. In the silence after the storm, the stars themselves seemed to whisper, "Never provoke Earth again."